Hey, it's Molly. Welcome back to my channel as we're going to take a look at the Aries Full Moon happening on October 9th, 2022 at 4:54 p.m. That's Eastern Time, so please adjust for your location on the planet. So we have a lot going on in this chart, and you might not see it at first glance, but we are going to dig into it. And we're going to start by looking at the moon here at 16 degrees of Aries, 32 minutes. And this is where the Aries full moon is illuminating something for you to understand about yourself at this degree point in your chart. So you're actually looking at the house that the moon is in when it's at 16 degrees, 32 minutes. You could round up to 17 degrees. And you'll notice how the moon is conjunct Chiron. Chiron at 14 degrees of Aries, 2 minutes retrograde. So the retrograde means that there are things you're understanding about yourself that you're going to see in a new light that you've already been working through. Because Chiron is retrograde, there's things you're already aware of, perhaps, but this Aries full moon is shining a light on something that maybe you didn't acknowledge before. And because it's the moon, it's bringing you into deeper contact with something you need or want, something that would be emotionally satisfying or connects to who you are at this point in your journey. Now, the connection here, the conjunction with Chiron, can bring in something that feels sensitive, vulnerable, you're uncertain about it. Maybe there's something you've been working on with this Chiron in Aries, and this full moon is certainly illuminating it. So meaning there could be something that almost emotionally triggers you or emotionally gets to you. But wait, we have support here that I'm going to show you in this chart. But it's important to note that this is where the energy begins because it's the full moon, where the moon is the brightest. So it's illuminating energies here around your healing journey, around what Chiron has been showing you, around what Chiron wants you to come in contact with that helps you really own more of your authentic nature. Chiron is an asteroid, and it's where we can feel that we have been ostracized, alienated, pushed away. There's often an alternative path that is associated with Chiron, meaning Chiron is not about the mainstream. It's about an alternative path to trust and follow. And here in Aries, we are learning how to be more independent, more courageous, and ultimately understanding more of who you really are at a core level of your energy. So this is prominent here in this full moon chart, but there's a lot that actually supports it. So we're going to now go to the other side of the chart here, where we're looking at the sun at 16 degrees of Libra, 32 minutes, also conjunct Venus at 13 degrees, 9 minutes. So this is the energy of support, relationship support, partnership support, feminine support, people you turn to or you can trust with what you're going through. This is the energy of sharing, of even perhaps letting people know what's going on in your personal world, what you're feeling, what you're moving through, what you have been moving through. So this brings in the energy of how are you openly discussing and sharing perhaps things that you are moving through, and are you being almost fair to yourself about it? Because sometimes this Aries energy can be so engrossed in its own energy. You can be so subjective and so in your own experience that the Libra energy wants you to step back, look at this from an objective viewpoint, consider another perspective, understand as well that it's not only you, and it's probably something that's maybe even relatable. So this is a balancing energy, and with the support of Venus, it brings in the people and those that we trust to perhaps share it with. So this can be wonderful for even deepening connections, relationships, partnerships, friendships. There could be things here where you're ready to let someone into your world a little bit more, or you're ready to open up, and there's things that you're ready to share that maybe even help feel not so alone or just to lessen any kind of burden. Again, if you're too much in your own energy, this is where there could be other people around who can support or give you another perspective, other things to consider and look at. Now, next, I want to go to this Mercury, which is now direct and is at 28 degrees of Virgo, making a trine to Pluto that is also stationing direct during this full moon at 26 degrees of Capricorn. Now, please note that Pluto will never return to 26 degrees of Capricorn again. This is the last time Pluto will be at this degree point. And so that is significant if you have any planets or points at 26 degrees of Capricorn, or even 26 degrees of the cardinal signs, where Pluto has been deeply renovating you, deeply evolving you, and helping you step into more of your power. So at this time, during the Aries full moon, we have Pluto making a supportive trine to this Mercury in Virgo, which can help with projects, tasks, focusing. This is mental concentration. This is the ability to look at something. What does it need? How do I solve it? What are the next steps? Getting something done and complete could be highlighted at this time, especially when you have the power of Pluto here helping you understand the bigger picture, what matters. This could also be, powerful communications, something that's been on your mind. Once this Mercury goes back into Libra, it could be easier to open up. But again, this feels like something that has been on your mind, and perhaps you've been working through it during the previous Mercury retrograde cycle. Well, this Aries full moon could be an opportunity to have greater understanding and, again, illumination around what that is and what you have understood about yourself. So because this chart actually has a lot going on, we're now going to move into some of the more rare components of what is happening. Now, going back to the Aries full moon that is illuminating this part of your chart and also highlighting the healing work you've been doing with Chiron, oftentimes the Aries journey is independent. It's where you're doing something on your own. Aries is a leader, a pioneer, a maverick. It's where you're meant to trust yourself and take something forward. And the ruling planet of Aries is Mars. And here we have Mars at 22 degrees of Gemini, still direct. Mars will station retrograde the end of October 30th at 25 degrees. So Mars is actually moving slowly at this time, but this is an energy too of making sure that what you are taking action on, you have thought it through. And sometimes this Mars in Gemini will act and then think. So throughout October, with this Mars going slower, we're meant to slow down and be more aware of what we're choosing, what we're doing, and what is happening. Now, this Mars is actually important because not only is it the ruler of the Aries full moon, but this Mars is in an important position throughout all of October, where Mars has been making a trine to Saturn retrograde at 18 degrees of Aquarius. This is where Saturn is for all of October, as Saturn will station direct this month, but is hanging out at 18 degrees. And so there is still a trine here to Mars, as they're just about 4 degrees apart. But remember, this Mars is moving slowly. So what we also have is Saturn trining the sun, and that will continue as the sun moves 1 degree a day. So the sun will get to 18 degrees of Libra and make an exact trine to Saturn, but that trine is still in play here during the full moon. And this Saturn is also making a sextile to the moon at 16 degrees of Aries. And with the Saturn influence, there is stability, there is direction, there is clarity, and there's an understanding of what needs to be done, what work needs to be done. And when this Saturn is working favorably with Mars, the ideas are in motion. There's a sense of direction and what to do. And this Saturn can help Mars get things done. This Saturn can also help Mars be less distracted, because Saturn is very much about let's focus on this and get it completed. Whereas this Mars in Gemini can be doing multiple things at once. This is now a more focused, stable Mars who's like, yes, let's take this forward. Let's get this done. And then we have the Sun in Libra also approaching an exact trine to this Mars. And actually that's going to happen at 24 degrees when the Sun and Mars are both at 24 degrees. They will have an exact trine. And so what we have during this Aries full moon is a kite configuration pointing at the moon conjunct Chiron. And this is a significant energy of a beginning. Remember how Aries is the first sign of the zodiac that wants you to see something in a new light, in a new way. Perhaps there's something in your healing journey that you're understanding more. And then you have the support of this Mars in Gemini. You have the support of this Saturn in Aquarius retrograde. And these energies are both stabilizing and providing direction. And the idea, the solutions, the understanding of what information is important, because we have here as well an Air Grand Trine between the three air signs, which are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And so this is an Air Grand Trine, but wait, there's more. And we're going to have 3 more in October. And what's going to happen is that at this particular Aries full moon, even though full moons are often about some kind of revelation, completion, and release, the energy here can support you in what you are transitioning away from, what you are ending so that you can follow something new or that's truer for you. The energy is also about something opening up that maybe you didn't see before, and now you have information around it. And because we have an Air Grand Trine going on throughout the middle of October and even into the second half of October, there is a lot more communication. There's a lot more ideas, projects, solutions, discussion, people. There's more in relationships with others coming up, coming about. Because what's going to happen with this energy that, as you can see, is strong here during the full moon, well, what's going to happen is that the Air Grand Trine is going to keep building as that Sun moves forward to 18 degrees, right, and makes an exact trine to Saturn. Then the Sun keeps going, it'll get to 24 degrees and still be connecting with this Mars. So something on your path is opening up during the Aries full moon. Then the Grand Trine here in the air signs is showing you more of what is possible, of what's possible that maybe you didn't see before. And then, because wait, there's more, we're going to have Venus enter into the Air Grand Trine. She's traveling behind the Sun, as you can see. Well, she's going to start having these conversations as well in the Air Grand Trine with Saturn and with Mars. And when Venus enters the mix, this is where she brings in the people, the connections, something that perhaps beautifies or brings in greater harmony, greater peace, Venus in Libra is very strong and she wants the win-win. And she's going to make a trine to Saturn, and Saturn's going to give her a yes. Yes, that's a great idea. Let's go for it. Let's do it. And then Mars is going to give her the energy, the action, the movement forward of how to make something real. And then after Venus is in this Air Grand Trine, Mercury is going to be in the Air Grand Trine energy as he will enter Libra, travel rather fast, and make the same connections to Saturn and to Mars. So when Mercury enters into the conversation, he has more of the ideas, the conversations, the people to bring in. Let's talk to them. Let's sort this through. Let's look at the details. What's the plan? So overall, this can be a month of a lot of communications, a lot of ideas, a lot of projects, maybe things that you thought you would do earlier this year. October is going to bring in times for you to do it, and it's going to flow because that's part of a grand trine energy, is that there is effortless connections here. There's things that line up and come through. It's almost like a conversation just keeps going, a discussion just keeps happening. And because of the Saturn influence, there's something here that can be strengthened, that can be real and tangible. So this is a good time for any projects becoming real, any ideas, anything you've been contemplating. And because Saturn is stationing direct this month, then Saturn brings in the desire to move it forward. So even if it starts out as just conjecture, or what about this idea, or hey, I've been thinking about this, then something starts to move forward and take off, especially with this Mars involved who is still direct. So we are going to basically have 3 Air Grand Trines in October as the Sun, Venus, and Mercury will make these connections to Saturn and Mars. But the energy begins during this Aries full moon. That again could be some kind of turning point for you. Something is clearer. Maybe there's something that you feel you've really understood about your healing journey. Now, Chiron is going to come back to 14 degrees and is not done with this part of your chart. So that's why there's something that you are connecting with in yourself that could feel like a deeper truth. And the Aries energy is very primal. It's very instinctual. It's that first sense of a yes, right? Like you feel something and it's before you understand it clearly or you reason it away. It's that sense of, yes, I want this. Yes, I need this. Yes, this is for me. Aries will give you that clear yes. It will also give you a clear no thank you, not for me, not interested. So the energy here can be quite fast and direct. And then because we have the strong air signs, there's going to be talking it through, discussing it, looking at who's involved, the kinds of people, whether those are colleagues or family or friends, whatever it might be. So this is a very social energy, but it's interesting because it begins with the self, realizing something about yourself, within whatever this Chiron has been showing you about who you are. And Chiron in Aries removes the false ego, removes anything that is not authentically you. And that's why it can also feel very raw, very exposed. I didn't know this is who I was. I feel so vulnerable. But that's also something that is courageous. And that's a new level of courage that you're developing in being who you really are, the truth of who you really are. So this overall is quite a beautiful, dynamic Aries full moon. And we still have this Jupiter at 1 degree of Aries retrograde, but Jupiter's going to be back into Pisces by the end of this month. And again, we're also going to have this Mars retrograde by the end of the month. And oh yeah, we have an eclipse coming up next. So this is an Aries full moon that closes out the previous cycle that started with the Libra new moon that was at 3 degrees of Libra in your chart. So there's something that you're meant to be aware of here before we go into eclipse season, which will be in Scorpio and will happen 2 weeks after this full moon. So this is a very social energy with the air signs, connections, developments, people, conversations, ideas. I know I've said all that, but it bears repeating because the Air Grand Trine happens 3 times. And I do think it's more significant with this Saturn involved. So a lot going on in October. A lot is happening, a lot more movement, a lot more energy moving us forward, a lot more maybe happening in your inbox or on text messages or on the phone, or just things going on, like people making plans and wanting movement. That's another signature here, is movement. So there you go. That is the Aries full moon coming up this month. And as always, I'll be back to discuss the Scorpio solar eclipse as well. But I hope this gives you some good insights into what October holds, how the energy is actually quite dynamic and also rare. And it could feel very invigorating for any of your planets or points in the air signs as well. So thank you so much for joining me. It's a delight to discuss astrology with you. I will be back soon with another video for you here on YouTube. And in the meantime, I hope you have a beautiful Aries full moon.